There we go. Okay, so this is what I find so interesting, and we kind of talked on this a little bit earlier, but since Laurie just joined us, I find it so interesting that we are so strong and so confident and so put together at work, in our career, in our job, with our families, whatever. And then when it comes to dating, we're not. And it's kind of like, why is that? Why is that? And so what I have learned through my personal experience and all the research I've done is that self-confidence is actually compartmentalized. That's not unusual. It's not unusual for this to happen. But let's look at this. Like when you're at work, and I don't know if y'all are work outside the home. I'm just assuming that you are, because that was the title of the presentation. But if you look at what you do on a day-to-day basis, you know what you're doing. If you're at work, you know what you're doing. You get regular feedback, right? So you know if you're doing it right or wrong. You see the results pretty immediately when you're at work. And you know what's expected of you. You know the rules of the game. So when you're at work, you kind of know if you're doing it right or doing it wrong, if you need to make adjustments, you have a whole lot of information. When you're dating, it's a whole nother story. For one thing, unless you're like a real student of dating, unless you have read a ton of books or joined a coaching program, nobody teaches dating. Where would you learn dating? I mean, let's be honest. Where would you go to learn how to date? When I started dating, when I turned 60, the internet had not been invented the last time I was dating. I mean, so where would we learn how to date? We wouldn't. Okay. So of course I'm already strike one. We don't know what we're doing right off the bat. So strike one. And that alone, competence leads to confidence. And we don't have that because we don't know what we're doing. So that's strike one, and then we got strike two. We don't get a whole lot of feedback a lot of times, depending on the kind of man that you're dating. You don't know, you're not getting any feedback. You don't know if you're, and I think Mary Kay said her guy is communicative. He's a good communicator. That's not always the case. So you don't really get any feedback. So now you're operating in a vacuum, right? You don't always see the results. I mean, you can be online, and I'm going to use, Tamara, I'm going to use you as an example. You could be online dating, but because you're in a small community, you don't see a lot of results. So you don't have a whole lot of, opportunities to practice, right? And that's the big thing. If you haven't dated in a while, you need to do what you need to do to get practice. Right. And I was talking to a client of mine today. She is very similar to all of us. She hasn't dated in a really long time. She was married twice. And she tried Match, but she got scared. She didn't have good results right off the bat. So she got off a Match. And I tried to tell her today in as loving way as I could that you need to get on Match because you need the practice. You need to practice reaching out. You need the practice texting. You need the practice in knowing what to say. And I tried to do that as nicely as I could. And this is a woman, God love her. She had a date with somebody. She had 2 dates with somebody. The first date went fantastic. The second date was horrible. But on the second date, she told him that she was disappointed that he didn't wear a sports jacket out to dinner. And I was just like, what makes you think you don't need practice? You need practice, right? So we don't get that feedback. We don't know how we're doing. We don't know where we are. So again, it's like we've got strike 1, 2, and 3, bing, 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 when we're dating right there. So and uncertainty is really the thing that breeds anxiety. That's what breeds, that's what generates uncertainty, is what generates stress and anxiety. And I that makes sense, honestly. It makes sense. So I want to talk about, before we sort of get into some of these strategies, what I want to talk about a little bit is the brain. Because believe it or not, falling in love is part brain science, it's part chemistry, and it's part timing and opportunity. But brain science does have a part in it. And if you're feeling insecure around men, a lot of times it is just because you haven't been around new men in a long time, and we need to expand your comfort zone, right? You just have to expand your comfort zone. And the only way you can really expand your comfort zone is by doing things that you didn't do yesterday. You have to do something today or tomorrow that is bolder than what you did yesterday. And the more you do that, then when you'll get comfortable, then you got to go a little bit more bold. And then if you'll feel horrible and icky and nervous, but you have to expand your comfort zone. But if you are really feeling insecure and unworthy and not enough, which is such a typical emotion for women to feel, a lot of these belief systems come, they can be generational, where women were just not, their mother felt this way, their mother's mother felt this way, they were treated as maybe not, like the boys were the king of the castle, the girls didn't matter much, the girls weren't expected to do much. I was never expected to go to college. Not that my mom and dad, not that they dissuaded me or discouraged me, but they didn't encourage me either, which I found so interesting. I found that now, like in hindsight, I find that really interesting. At the time, I think they really honestly thought I was just going to get married and have babies, which I did, but I also still was an entrepreneur. So who knows, it's so different. So when you learn things, and we start learning the moment we're born, but when we learn things, we learn it in the conscious part of your mind. This is the part of your brain, and I always think it's like right here, but this is the part of your brain that you learn, you analyze, you make your decisions, you do all your nitty-gritty thinking in the conscious part of your brain. But interestingly enough, when you learn something and you get good at it, or you hear it enough that you believe it to be true, right? Then you store it in the subconscious. And the subconscious, excuse me, is where you store your memories. It's where your emotions are housed. And your subconscious brain is the part of the brain that runs your behaviors. Okay. So you learn, oh, girls aren't really all that much, or maybe you got really hurt, and you start thinking, or maybe you were married to a man that told you, oh, nobody's ever going to love you the way I love you. And that happens. And you hear these things enough, you start to believe them, you hear them and learn them here, you store them here. And then because your brain runs your body, you start acting like nobody's going to love you the way he loved you. Your brain, you get this picture here, and then your brain makes you perform and makes you create the behaviors that make these pictures in your brain a reality. Which that in itself, you wouldn't, it's kind of unfortunate, but you think, well, that's not that big of a deal until you learn that this is like a computer, only there's no automatic update. So if you don't have high self-esteem and self-confidence, and you think that you're less than, right? That belief system is like a computer program, and it just simply runs and runs and runs and runs and runs and runs, and it never changes. And if that causes you to act shy, or to not talk to a man that you want to talk to, or, sometimes if you feel like you're insecure about how your body image, I mean, it can keep you from being intimate. Oh God, I could never take my clothes off in front of a man, or I'm not smart enough. I'm not smart. So if I'm not smart, well, then I can't talk. If I'm around a group of people, I can't talk, because then people will find out that I'm not smart. And so if you have these old programs running in your mind, and they're creating this set of behaviors, like for you, Tamara, that you say that you don't even look at them, you just, run away almost. That's never going to change until you go in and manually change it. You have to reframe and restructure those pictures in your brain. That's why when I use hypnotherapy to do it, it's basically relaxation. But we get to the subconscious part of your brain, and we start busting through all those emotional blocks so that you can start reframing how you feel about yourself and how you relate to men, how you relate to the world around you, and then you're not feeling so insecure anymore. So I would just want you to know that anytime you have those kinds of feelings, they're not going to go away. They're not just going to float away. You can't, that part of your brain doesn't just grow up. It's like you have to make a special point to do something to retrain your brain and up level your mindset, which that's the only unfortunate part. So I want to talk about some strategies, right? Because I want to tell you that there are some things you can do manually without using hypnotherapy or anything else, or massive amounts of alcohol. There are some things that you can do manually to help start building this confidence that are pretty easy. It takes longer, right? Because you're really retraining your brain to create different belief systems. So it takes a while and it takes concerted effort, but it's absolutely possible. So there's some things that you can do. The first thing I want to do, and Tamara, I hate to keep picking on you, and I'm picking on you.
I appreciate it. You can use me as much as you like because I am taking notes and I'm taking it all in, and you're right up my alley. So this is good.
Okay, good. Because I don't want you to, I want you to know I'm
Not at
doing
all.
it lovingly.
Not at all.
But so you made a comment earlier, and Laura, you weren't here yet, but she made a comment, or was it you? No, maybe it wasn't you. That you dated somebody and that liked you, and you kept dating until they decided they didn't like you and they dumped you. Who said that?
I did.
Okay, all right. I thought you did, but then I got confused. So the first thing that I want you to do is I want you to take a step back from that statement and say that dating is not about finding somebody that likes you.
Yeah.
Dating really is all about you. It's about finding somebody that you like.
Right.
That's the key. That honestly, that is the biggest key. And it's really funny because I really appreciate, and I know this sounds weird, but I really appreciate in my own life when I find myself naturally doing what I tell women to do. And this just happened like last week when I was walking out the door and I heard myself say to myself, I hope I like him. And I just kind of went, and it kind of makes me chuckle. I mean, it's like the days of thinking, I hope he likes me, they're gone.
Yeah.
Those are
Yeah.
gone. Now I want to find somebody that I really do like. And it's all about you. So making that one change, and I have to tell you, that is honestly kind of a big aha moment for a lot of women, because they're so used to letting that, like just waiting around to be chosen. And a lot of times when you wait to be chosen, you get picked by the wrong kind of guys.
Yeah.
You
I
get
had a
picked.
may I share something real quick?
Sure,
I
absolutely.
had, I had a male friend share with me one time, and the way he said it really resonated with me. He said, "It's not about whether he wants you; it's about whether you want to be there." And I thought that was a powerful statement because I just never really thought about it. I'm always thinking about this, is he interested? But then I realized that there were some people, men, that I gave time to that I really wasn't all that interested in. I
Mhm.
really didn't necessarily want to be there, but the need to have that person like me,
Right.
outweighed the, unfortunately, yeah, outweighed
But you know
my.
what? The more you start paying attention to
Mhm,
that and focusing on that and fixing and shifting that, it starts to happen less and less. I don't know that it's going to happen less and less. So the first thing I want you to do, and I call this, you have to pay attention to the words you use when you're talking to yourself, because there are words, and I call them negative absolutes. And what I mean by that, these are words like never or always, like, oh, he'll never like me, or this always happens. I'll go on one date and then I never get a second date. That always happens. I want you to think about these negative words and these negative absolutes that you have in your vocabulary. And when there's kind of a process, and I'm going to give you the shorter version of the process because we have a lot to get through today. When you find yourself having that kind of thought, well, one thing you can do is put a rubber band on your wrist. And every time you have a thought like that, like something that says, I'm not good enough, or that's never going to happen, or it couldn't, wouldn't, shouldn't, that nonsense, is snap that rubber band. So you can start getting an idea of just how much you're talking to yourself in a negative way. It's pretty enlightening, frankly. And if you start getting too red and it's only 10 in the morning, you've got some inner work to do. But when you notice yourself doing that, what I want you to do is actually say this word out loud. I want you to say, stop. Okay? I don't want you to say stop. I want you to say stop. Because you need to get your brain's attention. And if you say, oh, let's just like work through a scenario. Well, I'm never going to find anybody. Well, never is a very, very long time. So, when you tell your brain, I'm never going to find anybody, and it gets that in its mind, well, then that's what it makes happen. It creates those scenarios so that you never will find somebody. And that's not what you want. But if you say stop, and then I want you to take a minute and look and see, well, when did I have somebody that I liked? When did I find love? And keep it all into perspective, because if you were married for 20 years and you haven't been looking, and you don't even have to use your own experience. You can borrow somebody else's experience.
True.
Well, look at Mary. I'm going to say, look at Mary Kay. Mary Kay just met somebody that she's really liking. So it's possible. If it's possible, if it happened to me before, or if it's possible for someone else, it's possible for me. Okay. So you say, stop, prove that that's not true, right? How you need to prove that this is wrong. Well, look at Mary Kay. Mary Kay found somebody. If she found somebody, I can find somebody. And then you need to reframe that statement. And I want you to do it in a positive affirmation. I am attracting the right type of men now. That's all you have to do. It's a really simple process, right? Now, what I want to tell you is there's two things that are important with this process. I don't want you to say, don't say that, because when you say the word don't, your brain gets confused, because it's like, well, I have to say it before I can negate it. And so it gets muddled. So don't say don't, say what you want. Stop. When who was I talking? Oh, well, poor Tamara, I'm using you again. When you said to yourself, I had to tell myself, don't stumble. Right?
Yeah.
Well, when you say don't stumble, you're actually telling your brain to stumble. So what you have to say is walk solidly. Walk solidly. You have to ask your brain to do what it is you want to do. You don't want to ask your brain what not to do. You have to ask your brain what you want it to do. So it's stop. That's not true. How do I know it's not true? Because this happened, or this happened for someone else. And then you flip it around and say, I am, and then you create a positive affirmation, and you create it in the present. Not I will attract the right kind of man. You want to create that affirmation. It's happening already today. I am attracting, where are all these fabulous men coming from that I'm attracting? You know, I mean, where are they coming from? I mean, you know, you could meet somebody at a diner by accident who's passing through town. I mean, you never know where people are going to cross paths. And that's the beauty of it. So, and then write that affirmation out and then put it somewhere that you see it. Like, I'm attracting all these wonderful men today. Where are all these wonderful men coming from that I keep running into today?
Mm.
And just let your brain start working out. The nice thing about this is that you don't have to know how your brain's going to figure this out or how the universe is going to work with you.
Right.
You just have to know what you want. And then you have to be open to receiving love. And I think sometimes that's hard because in Laurie's case, she's not been divorced. She's still getting divorced and she's hurt and there's a lot of negative emotions going on. So, you know, feeling open might be difficult for her. Yeah, I just used you as an example, sorry.
You're right. You're
But
right.
I mean, you know, it's not, you know what, it was interesting when I got divorced and I started dating so quickly. I didn't even think, because our divorce was amicable, I didn't think I had any healing to do. How foolish was that? That's how naive I was, frankly. Let's be honest. You know, but you do have to go through a healing process and you just have to be open. You have to be open to receive love because otherwise you will miss it. You could miss a Cupid, you know, miss Cupid's arrow. So, just, I think that's an interesting thing. It's just stop. That's not true. This is why it's not true, because this happened to me or this happened to so-and-so. If it can happen to her, it can happen for me. And then you flip it over and create a positive affirmation. The second thing I want you to do is every time you do something wonderful, I don't care how big or how small it is, I want you to give yourself a high five. And I talk a lot about this in my coaching program because I want you to, I say a high 10 because I always, that's what I do for myself. It's always, and I even put the sound with it, you know, because you have to start acknowledging how wonderful you are. And I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's, oh, I made the bed and it looks so pretty. Give yourself high five, Michelle. High five. High 10. You know, I mean, you have to start really just embracing how smart you are, how capable you are, how wonderful you are, how compassionate you are, how much people love you, how much you love yourself. You have to start really acknowledging that and noticing that, because the noticing part is the important part. So high 5 or high 10, whichever you prefer. Again, I like to go for the gusto, so I like to do the 10, but that's just me. Okay. So now I kind of want to play a game, and I like it that there's a small group because this game is it's not a game, but it's kind of a game. Okay, so I want all of you to think of 3 things that, like, the top 3 things you want in a relationship partner, a love partner. Just take a minute and think about that. 3 things. The top 3 things. Okay, who wants to share? Mary Kay, can you share? Oh, Celeste, you want to share?
Yes.
What's the
Okay.
top
So
3 things?
the first thing is someone who's ready to be in a relationship. You know, they're not
Okay.
still running around and, you know,
Okay, somebody who's ready.
right.
What's number 2?
Um, someone that, uh, well, of course, it's got to be somebody I'm compatible with, but so that doesn't count, right? Because that's like a
Not
given.
really.
Yeah.
You're looking for more of a personality trait or a lifestyle share or something
All
like
right.
that.
Someone who's fun, you know, like not a stick in the mud. You
Okay.
know, somebody who's fun, and somebody who likes to do the same things that I do, I like, and like-minded, you know what I
Okay.
mean? And somebody who
Yeah.
likes to walk and travel and, all the things I like. So those are
Good.
the three things.
Okay. All right. Lori, what about you?
Well, I want someone that's financially secure.
Okay.
Since I'm being asked to give maintenance to my unsecured ex.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah, kids are out of the house, everything. Someone that's considerate of me and my feelings, and someone that's fun.
Okay. All right. Mary Kay, what about you?
Someone who can communicate.
Okay.
Someone who has a sense of humor
Okay.
and kind of like if there's some physical attraction at first.
Okay. A little va-va-voom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Tamara, what about you?
I feel like she was reading off my list because I put communicator. He needs to be self-aware. And
Okay.
I want someone who is adventuresome and active. I want to be able to enjoy, enjoy new experiences with him. And then he does need a sense of humor. He has to be willing to laugh at, himself and others, and just be somebody I can banter with and have a good time.
Okay.
Because I think the physical attraction can really grow out of that.
Yes, it can. I agree with you there. Okay. So now what I want you to do is I want you to come tell me 5 things, 5 positives about yourself. Like, how would you describe yourself in 5 words? Celeste? Oh, well, let me give you a minute to think about that because sometimes it takes us a while.
Yeah, it's going to take a good while because I think that's our problem, that we don't think,
Well,
positive.
if nothing else, I want you to think about how would a friend describe you? If you
Okay, so I'm
Yeah.
helpful, right? I'm always helping somebody. That's why, I was almost late to this. Right? I'm considerate. I've become more empathetic than I used to be, and less judgmental. I
Oh,
used
I
to be
like that.
very judgmental.
Okay, got one more?
Uh, and fun. I'm fun.
Good for you. Okay. Laurie, what about you?
Well, I'm writing them down. I have compassionate, fun, intelligent, empathetic,
One more.
unique. Unique.
Ooh, I like that unique. I like that a lot. Mary Kay, what about you?
Sense of humor, good personality, considerate of other people's feelings. I'm fun to be around and I'm smart.
Oh, I like it. Okay. Tamara, what about you?
Outgoing, encouraging, adventurous, empathetic, and fit.
Okay. Okay. So the reason that I wanted to do this, I'm trying to think. Not one of you, out of all 4 of you, no one had the same 3 qualities they're looking for in a man. None of you. So none of you are looking for the same man, right?
Mm-hmm.
In reverse, if you were on The Price is Right, or what's behind door number 1, door number 2, door number 3, and door number 4, none of you would be picked by the same man. It becomes so obvious when you really think about that, just how unique and special you each are. So, and what's so wonderful about this is that knowing yourself, getting to know yourself, up levels your self-confidence so much, because you can just say, okay, I am, you know, I love the unique. I love that, you know, I'm unique, or I'm smart, or whatever. Well, obviously then he didn't appreciate the fact that I'm unique. He didn't appreciate the fact that I'm smart. He didn't appreciate the fact that I'm fit. He didn't appreciate the fact that I'm not judgmental. And so the interesting thing about this is when you really get to know who you are, then you're like, it's just not a fit. If I was door number 3, he wouldn't want that, because that's not what he's looking for. It has nothing to do, honestly, with you personally, because he doesn't know you. They don't know you. They don't know you from Adam or Eve, since we're talking women, you know. I mean, but he doesn't know you. All he knows is the outer you, and that's not even who you are. So what I love about this is that nobody is going to be you. Nobody's looking for the same man, and no man is looking for the same woman. And so the key is going to be for you to find somebody that is a good fit for you and all of your special, unique qualifications and qualities. And I think when you really sit down and do that, and the more you can sit down and really think about, when I first start working with a woman, and I find out, like, okay, what are you looking for in a man? A lot of times I have a list a mile long. And it's like, no, you really want to look at, you want to try to match lifestyle, because I was listening to another coach, and she said, I don't work with women over 50 anymore. And it was like, well, why not? They're like, because the man they're looking for doesn't exist.
Mm.
Because our expectations are so out of line with reality, because we've been hurt. We've been hurt. But when you sit down and really start thinking about what is it, the type of man that I'm looking for, you're not looking for so much. Like, once you get, there are some deal breakers, like a smoker would be a deal breaker for me. But, it's like, I want somebody who's compassionate. I don't have to have somebody who volunteers 5 days a week. I mean, there's degrees of all this, so understanding who you're looking for is going to help you feel more confident, because then that they might not understand who they're looking for either. So I like that. I really like that a lot. I like the idea of being able to do that. So the next thing I want to talk about pretty quickly, because we're running out of time. 7 ways to boost confidence in your dating. And guess what number 1 is? It's ditch your expectations.
Mm.
And if you can go into this whole process open-hearted, open-minded, I think you're going to have so much more success. And so tell me, Mary Kay, tell me, if you don't mind, share with me what was different about this man. What was different about him?
Well, like I said, I think it's just because he communicated so much through Match. I mean, our emails between each other were long, to where I felt like I knew enough about him, or
So he was open. He was open.
Mm-hmm. And he shared, or he had expressed a lot of different sense of humor, funny things, and we exchanged that kind of thing.
Good.
And like when we were going to agree to meet up or whatever, he says, well, he goes, you look like you're safe, that you're not from Al Qaeda or whatever, or something like that. So, it's just the joking stuff. And then I would come back with, the zingers too, or whatever. And I thought to myself, I mean, looking at his profile pictures, 2 of them, looking at it's like, yeah, I probably wouldn't be attracted to that, but I took it upon myself. It's like, well, some people and myself included, I don't take good pictures myself, or feel like I don't take good pictures. So I was giving him the benefit of the doubt. But like I said, the thing was that the guy was kind of, for the most part, persistent or consistent, because like I said, every day then we were emailing through Match, and I learned quite a bit from him. And so yeah, and then like I said, when we met and then talking that much for that long a time, although I don't have a problem talking. So
But so what I heard you say is that you let go of your expectations.
yeah, right when you said that, I went, yeah, I guess I did, because it's like, give people a chance. Cause like I said, some people, cause like I said, he read my profile, and then, like a couple days later, I went back in and I read my profile again. I went, damn, that was good profile, but it's like I kind of forgot what I wrote.
Yeah, I know. I forget too. And somebody will make a comment about my profile, and I'm
Mhm.
like, what did I say that? What did I
Yeah.
say? Yeah, I know. I get that.
Because what had happened, was the other joking thing. So he had said when we first met that, so I was on Match a couple months ago, and I let my subscription run out because I had retired at the end of June, but like 5 days before I retired, my mom fell.
Oh,
And a month later, my mom fell again. And I thought I was dealing with her and going to be moving her closer to me. And I was just like, I got too much on my plate right now, not knowing what was going to happen with her. Plus, I knew I'd be moving her closer to me, chances were, and finding a place over here. Cause like I said, she was 20 minutes from me, which 20 minutes don't seem a lot, but when you're driving to an ER at 1:30 in the morning, it
Yeah.
kind of freak you out. So
Mhm.
I knew I had a lot on my plate. So the thing I told him was, because he said, yeah, he goes, I reached out to you, and he said, and this was in September, because then I went back and I looked into my Match thing and our communication. And yeah, he did send me an email in September, but I wasn't active then. So
Uh-huh.
then the part I don't know is if Matt sent me an email, or if I saw that he had sent another email and I thought, oh, well. But anyway, long story short, then Matt sent me an email saying, renew your membership for what, 50 or 75% off. So I
Yeah.
told him, I said, I jokingly told him, it's like I said, well, I got you for the bargain price of $49.95. But but really it was a little bit, but it was less than what I did in July. I said, you're just lucky Match had a good sale, because I am a bargain hunter sometimes.
Oh,
So
that's
he
so
was laughing
funny.
at that. And that's what he said. He goes, yeah. So he did. He waited about a month, and he said, boy, he goes, I really liked what she wrote. She seemed like she's very had energy, like in my pictures, he said,
Yeah.
your energy. And he says, your pictures, when I met you, he says, you look like your pictures.
Yeah. That's kind of for some
Yeah.
people, that's
Right,
that's the
right.
thing.
So
Yeah.
anyway, so like I said, then he was glad then, and that's what he said. He was really hoping then. So like I said, I don't know what made me click and decide to go ahead and purchase that. But like I said, I keep giving him crap about it. It's like, well, I got you for the bargain price, but whatever. It
Good for
was
you.
cheaper than what I paid for before, is all it was. So
Good.
but yeah, so like I said, it's just
So really just letting go, just letting go of your expectations is
yeah.
so key. And so, and I want to tell you about one of my clients, and to your point, Tamara, is that she met a man who did not do it for her as far as physically. And but she said he was so kind. They met over the summer, and they went to a lot of outdoor concerts, and he would bring chairs, and he would bring water, and he would bring picnic baskets, and he was nurturing for her, and he would always make sure she was well taken care of. And she's like, to be honest with you, I wasn't even sure we were dating. I mean, she said we would only see each other once a week, and we wouldn't really talk a lot. And, this went on for a couple months. And I said, well, how do you feel about him? She's like, all she said to me was, he is so wonderful. Not much to look at. That's what she always prefaced it with, not much to look at, but he's such a nice man, and he takes care of me, and he makes me feel so secure. So then I didn't talk to her for a bit. And so then I reconnected a couple, maybe 6 weeks later. And I said, well, how are things going? She's like, oh my God. She's like, he is the most wonderful man I've ever met. She said, I've never been loved by a man like I've never been loved like I've been loved by this man. And I was like, see? And I told her, it was so interesting. She said, Michele, I can't believe it made such, what you told me made such a difference, because we were talking about the difference between a guy, right? It's easy to find a guy. You can find a
Mhm.
guy,
Right.
There's a guy. Mhm.
but to find a high quality man, that's
Yeah.
another story. And she said, Michele, I never really believed I was worthy of a high quality man. And she said, and and she's got trauma in her background, and she had a lot going on. She had a lot of baggage, and she said, I never felt like I deserved it. And she said, when you and I worked together, she said that shifted everything. She said, I would have never expected this. And so again, she ditched her expectations. Now, if you're dating somebody and you're dating for months and there's just no chemistry still, well, then it's time to move on.
Right.
But sometimes, a lot of times they say, give it at least, you have to give it at least 3 dates, at least, even to start to get to know them. You don't really know somebody for 3 months. Now I know at our age, we all get into relationships really fast. I mean, it's like you're exclusive really fast. And part of that is we don't want to waste time, because we don't have time to waste, but you want to there's a balance for that, because you don't want to do too much too soon, because there's for one thing, then there's no chase anymore. And the guys don't like that. Some men like the chase, and you need to keep your life juicy and rich without the man, outside of that. I mean, you just really do need to keep a rich, juicy life until you have the talk about exclusivity. You've got to make sure you maintain your independence, so that you're going to just ditch your expectations. I want you to, the second thing you can do, this is almost an immediate shift, is check your body language. If you are feeling insecure, if you're feeling a little shaky internally, like not shaky physically, but like, ooh, I don't feel like I'm at my best. All you have to do is roll your shoulders back, roll your chin up, and take a nice deep breath. That shift in your physiology is going to change your mood. It changes your psychology. So it's roll your shoulders back, tilt your head up, take a deep breath. And that just absolutely changes your psychology. So just be sure that you pay attention to your body language when you're out and about, because you always want to be open. You want to make sure you're always open. And then use that roll your shoulders back, tilt your head up, and breathe idea too. Make sure you date with you in mind, not them. I want you to take some time and really think about what kind of man, how do you want to feel when you're in love? How do you want to feel? Because you want somebody who matches your lifestyle. It's like a traveler wants to meet a traveler, or at least an adventuresome person. Some
Right.
people have a desire that they want to travel to like Indonesia. Other people they say they want to travel and they want to go to Montana. So, I mean, you know what I mean? But at least you're in the same, at least your lifestyle matches, right?
Going to Indonesia. It's funny you
I mean,
said that.
I personally don't think I don't want to go anywhere. I went to South Korea, and I was there for 9 days. And I have to tell you, honestly, by the 9th day, I was exhausted, because they say they speak English, but it's so broken. It's such broken English. And I had such a hard time communicating with those people. I was exhausted just from that by the time I came home. So not that I don't want to travel internationally, but it's like next time I'm going to prepare, and I'm going to get that babble, and I'm going to learn the language before I go, because it's, so
Right.
anywho, let's see. I want you, so what I want you to do next is I want you to always be prepared, right? When you start dating, and none of you are dating now, well, except for Mary Kay. So I want you to be prepared. And what I mean by that is, even before you start dating, for those of you who are not, I want you to write out some questions that you could ask. And that would create a back and forth conversation, right? Because if you're just like at work, if you're prepared, you're feeling confident. You're not feeling, well, what am I going to talk about? Just ask. No, you don't want to ask rapid fire questions. You're not a job. It's not a job interview. You know, you want to weave them into the coffee date. And I like coffee dates. I just like coffee dates for date one. They're easy. They're inexpensive. You don't have to panic about who pays for what. It's just easy and simple. And that's just what I recommend. But come up with like 4 or 5 questions that you would want to know. And it's not like, it's who, what, where, when, or why questions. And I prefer the who, what, when, and where. The why, I'm not so much so. Sometimes that comes off as judgmental. But it's like, well, where did you grow up? Well, what did you like about that? Right? You have to get to the deeper part of the conversations. Because if you're having a conversation about world peace, they could be having that same conversation with a man around the water cooler at work. Right? You have to make a heart-to-heart connection with men, because if not, see, that's why when I was dating, like I was dating my clients, when I first started dating, it was all in my head. Like we were having intellectual conversations, which were all well and good, but I wasn't connecting to his heart at all. So there was no love connection there at all, because I wasn't connecting to his heart. I was connecting to his head. And he can do that with the guys on the golf course. He doesn't need me for that. And he doesn't want me for that. Men don't want that. Men want women that they can be themselves with. They want women they can be emotionally vulnerable with. Because they can't do that anywhere else. Men 50 and over are one of the loneliest demographics, because they don't share with other men. Women bond. We bond. Men do not. Okay. So absolutely be prepared. Ask some questions that are geared, that will start a banter and back and forth. Like, well, well, what's your favorite color? Well, what's your favorite color? Well, what do you like to do on vacation? Well, what do you like to do on vacation? So you can start learning, well, why do you like to do? What is it about the mountains that you enjoy so much? I mean, you have to get down to that deeper level so that you can start really knowing him. Not just what he writes in what he tells you, the first 10 minutes. This is going to be hard, but I'm going to say it anyway. Try to go into this process without an ideal type. And I'm not going to lie, it's hard. It's hard, ladies. I'm not going to lie.
Mhm.
Maybe at least be my height, at least my height. Okay.
Well, that's different. Well, I'm almost 6 foot tall, so I
Yeah.
feel you. I feel you. I mean, I want a guy, I'm like 5. Well, before I started shrinking, I was 5'11" and 3/4.
Yeah.
So now I'm like 5'10" and a half.
Yes,
You
I
know,
get it. I tell my mom, there's somebody, she's like, he's such a nice man. And I'm like, Mom, do you understand? I have to bend my knees to give him a hug. I mean, I literally have to bend she's like, and I said, Mom, he's taller to you, but not
yeah,
to me.
because
Yeah,
you're 5'2".
right.
That's why he's tall, because you're 5'2". But you know what? And I'm not saying necessarily that, but like, if in fact, and I have to tell you, like, if you like, okay, I'll just be honest, being authentic here. I was a little snobbish. It's like I wanted a man who was college educated. I'm sorry, I'm snobbish. I don't know why. I didn't get my degree till I was 35. I don't know what makes me snobbish, but I was. So now I'm like, okay, I can't really, that's not really right. So now I've bent that rule. They can be, if they're an entrepreneur, or if they have some college, I have broadened my, type. They don't have to be white collar. Honestly, I'm not a white collar girl. I mean, I'm blue collar all the way. I was raised in a blue collar family. My ex was blue collar, but my ex was really a hybrid because his family was very European and they were global. They were more global. So like he was this guy who was a truck driver, but he could talk opera with you. It was very bizarre. I don't know. And I liked that because like, when we were in our heyday, we were kind of a very small fish in a big pond, or big fish in a small pond. I mean, so we were kind of an it couple. There was a time that we were an it couple, and it was really because he was just so much more global. I'm not global at all, but he was so much more global that I was like living on, I was in his glow until things started going south, as they say. And the other thing I want you to do is I want you to stay invested in your own life. Make sure you stay doing what makes you happy, but again, broaden your circle a little bit. If in fact you need to broaden it so that you're around where men are organically. I mean, sometimes things just happen, but you're not going to, if the only place you go is quilting and bunco, you're not going to meet men.
Wiggly,
So,
wiggly.
you're just not going to meet men if you go quilting and go to bunco. I'm sorry. And I know, but I want you to stay invested in your life. You have to keep your life rich and juicy, because there's nothing worse than being boring. I mean, really. I mean, do you guys agree? I mean, who wants to date a boring dude? I want a guy that's busy and doing stuff and has a lot going on and it has opinions and, I mean, that's the kind of thing I want to do. So I think those things are going to get you started with feeling more secure with who you are. And I think that again, this is a journey. I want you to realize this is a journey. This is definitely a journey, and it takes time to recreate those create new pictures in your brain so that you create new behaviors. So, but you have to start somewhere. So, any questions?
How do you feel about being nominated for the Golden Bachelor?
As the man or
Bachelorette?
one of the
No,
women?
no, as the Golden Bachelorette. Have you gone on? I looked at their, I would nominate you in a heartbeat.
Oh,
Yes, you should. I mean, they really are looking the casting. They have the casting call out there, and I think that first of all, I think you'd be great, but it would also be a great way to leverage what you do.
well, it would be a great way to leverage what I do. They probably wouldn't take me because of what I do, and I'll be honest with you, I don't want to share spit with 20 other women.
Yeah, that is.
I hate to say it.
Then
I
there's
hate
that.
to
Yeah,
say it,
I
but
know.
I don't want, and frankly, I don't think I couldn't do it. I couldn't be, I don't want to cry in front of the whole world.
Can you be the Bachelorette though? Could you navigate the 20 men?
Wouldn't that be fun?
That's what I'm saying. I'm not talking about being one of the women.
I thought they already had those picked.
No, they put out casting calls. There's look, there's a link I can send you, and you go in, you complete an application. There's some things like you have to be available over a 6-month period to come into LA to do the tapings, but it's actually pretty amazing. And so yes, you could be the Bachelorette.
Wow. I can't, I
Then
don't know.
you get to decide who you kiss, so you don't have to flirt
That's
with.
true. I wouldn't have to kiss them all, would I? That's one of the hardest parts is watching them. I just I can't do it. I can't do all that kissing. That's like, ugh.
I thought the
And
Golden Bachelor was great, but I thought the woman, the second to the last one, I don't know if you watched it.
I
She
did.
needed you. She wasn't ready. And the thing that she shared about being chosen. I thought I was finally going to be chosen, and the heartbreak behind that, the lack of healing that was there. It really, and I mean, he was compassionate, but it really showed that she
Well,
wasn't
you
ready.
know, that's the one thing I'm
Wasn't ready.
surprised that they don't do, and they don't do it on any of those Bachelor shows. They don't have a dating coach on any of them.
They should. They
I think they
should.
should. So
Mhm.
the other show that I really watch, because I love the education portion of it, is Married at First Sight. I
Yes,
watch that because
yes,
I love
yes,
like Dr. Pepper, and I, you know, I really, because I want
yes.
to make sure that like what I'm, you know, I never recommend anything unless I know it's true and it works.
Yeah,
And so I want to make sure that I'm on track, and a lot of the stuff I watch for those. I mean, plus it's like
it's
watching a train
fascinating.
wreck. It's like watching a train wreck a lot of times.
I recorded it already, but yes,
Yeah. Oh,
it's
did you?
fascinating.
Oh, good. So, I want to tell you what's going on. So, okay, I talked about my book, which again, if you don't have it, you can get it on my website, and I'll sign it for you if you want to get it on my website. Actually, there's a Black Friday special. It's save $2 off of it. And my website is dategreatguys.com. Date Great Guys. See what's behind me? Dategreatguys.com is my website. The other thing is, if you want to do more, if you want to do coaching, I do have it's a combination of a video. You do video and you do group coaching, kind of like this. And that's also there. It's a Black Friday special on that. So you save money. I think you can get started like for, I don't know, $199, $159 or something. It's really priced. It's definitely priced right. And that's going to be changing after Christmas. So if you want more attention and you want to do something, then you probably want to take action. I would recommend that you take action. So any other questions? Is there anything else I can say or do to help you ladies move ahead? Did you all enjoy tonight?
Yes. A lot of good information. It was
Did you
excellent.
learn anything? So what was your takeaway? Laurie, what was your best takeaway from tonight?
The mindset,
Yeah, oh, that's huge.
the high-fiving myself when it's good, and the help or stop.
The stop. Yeah, I love that. Oh, good. I'm glad you got something positive. Good. Celeste, what about you? What was your favorite takeaway?
The positive affirmation.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, that's what I need.
And you know what? You can do that in any area of your life. It doesn't just have to be dating. It can be whatever.
Mhm.
You know, it doesn't have to be whatever. So just expand, let your mind just get creative with that. And then get some Post-it notes and put those anywhere and everywhere that you might see that you won't get laughed at.
Okay. Okay.
Mary Kay, what about you?
The 7 ways that you talked about, and how you you said ditch your expectations, and you were like right on it.
So you're already seeing it. I'm really excited for you. Best of luck with all that. I think it's wonderful, and we all deserve love for sure.
Yeah.
So I'm
There's
really
a little
happy.
bit of a challenge because he's like an hour away,
Oh, wow. Where does he live?
further south of Springfield, Illinois.
Oh, wow. And you let that wow, you let that happen. That's interesting.
Well, he, the crazy, well, what he said, he goes, yeah, he says, yeah, he goes, I just chose to like go reach out further away because just in case you were cuckoo, because I guess the other
Oh.
2 were,
Okay, so
so it's on him now.
right. It's right. If you're reached out and you're an hour away, then dude, you have to do the
And
driving.
exactly. And he said, I don't have a problem driving and that. And he says, but the crazy thing was, he says, you're about as close as normal that I've ever been with.
Oh, that's funny.
So
Well, you are. We are all numbers. So
yeah,
she
so
goes an hour. So Tamara, you can go an hour out.
mhm.
Right? Exactly.
You know. So what's your best takeaway, Tamara?
I enjoyed those statements about I'm attracting all these wonderful men today. I think that's important because it's, I find that I tend to say, and even girlfriends that I know will say that all the good men are gone, that
Oh,
they're,
no, don't.
the odds
You
are,
need to you need to put
right.
yourself, just put
And,
blinders on that.
and change all that. So I definitely like shifting the words that I'm using. And as you said, you never know. it could be somebody just passing through town. They may not even be here. But I have to put those shoulders back, look up, breathe, and be open and accepting. So yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Well, ladies, I have enjoyed tonight immensely. Thank you for sharing your evening with me. It's been delightful, and I'm glad that you all learned something and you have a good takeaway. I like that for sure, because that's my goal, is that you feel like you've got more information when you leave than you did when you came. So, Mary Kay, you and I are going to have to do, since we have 3 virgins here, we're going to have to do the fun goodbye, because we'll have to teach them. I always do a fun goodbye. And so if this is the first time that you've been here, you're not going to know what it is. So you can, but you'll be able to catch on really quick. Or will you do it with me, Mary Kay?
I can if I can remember.
Oh God, and you just put a stake in my heart. You put a stake in my heart, Mary
I'm
Kay.
sorry. It'll come back to me. I'm
It'll
sure.
come back to you, really. Yeah, it's super simple. So, okay, ready? It's 3, 2, 1, ready? Goodbye, everybody. Thank you for coming. It was so fun. I'll see you later.
Bye.
If I don't talk to you, if you guys check out dategreatguys.com and have a wonderful, wonderful holiday. Love you all.
You
See ya.
too.
Oh, I like
See
the
ya.
heart. Bye.
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 Bye.